How you guys doing today? Jason A. Kuhn here, giving you a Fight the Deception with Christian Perception news brief for January 17th, 2014. Got a lot of news. We'll jump into it here at Infowars.com, an article written by Steve Watson. Obama justifies NSA spying. Paul Revere did it first. In a speech that was billed as an announcement of reforms to the NSA's mass spying practices, the president argued that the U.S. has a long history of defending liberty by conducting surveillance. Obama even cited Paul Revere in remarks clearly designed to justify government spying on its own citizens. Wow. To virtually no one's surprise, the president's reforms will not stop NSA's mass spying, and this was immediately evident in the opening remarks of Obama's speech when he attempted to argue that in times of war, the U.S. has always used surveillance to secure freedom. Quote, "At the dawn of our republic, a small secret surveillance committee born out of the Sons of the Liberty was established in Boston," Obama said. The group's members included Paul Revere, and at night they would patrol the streets reporting back any signs that the British were preparing raids against America's early patriots. This article is very extensive. You can check it out at Infowars.com. Of course, it will be linked in the YouTube description box. But what I think is odd is Obama is confusing Paul Revere and his spying. Paul Revere wasn't spying on the American citizens. Paul Revere was spying on the enemy. Let's move on to the next article. Stay here at Infowars.com, an article written by Paul Joseph Watson. Think Tank, extraordinary crisis needed to preserve New World Order. Writing for the Atlantic Council, a prominent think tank based in Washington, D.C., Harlan K. Ullman warns that an extraordinary crisis is needed to preserve the New World Order, which is under threat of being derailed by non-state actors like Edward Snowden. The Atlantic Council is considered to be a highly influential organization with close ties to major policymakers across the world. It's headed up by General Brent Scowcroft, former United States National Security Advisor under U.S. Presidents Gerald Ford and George H.W. Bush. Scowcroft has also advised President Barack Obama. Harlan K. Ullman was the principal author of the shock and awe doctrine that is now chairman of the Kilowan Group, which advises government leaders. In an article entitled "War on Terror is Not the Only Threat," Ullman asserts that tectonic changes are reshaping the international geostrategic system, arguing that it's not military superpowers like China, but non-state actors like Edward Snowden, Bradley Manning, and anonymous hackers who pose the highest or the biggest threat to the 365-year-old Westphalian system because they are encouraging individuals to become self-empowered, eviscerating state control. Wow. Let's move on here to ABCnews.com. Attack by Al-Qaeda militants kills 8 Yemeni troops. Al-Qaeda militants attacked by a military camp Thursday in central Yemen, sparking heavy clashes that killed at least 8 soldiers, security officials said. The officials said militants tried to storm the camp on the outskirts of the city of Rada, 160 kilometers south of the capital Sana'a, or Sana'a, however you pronounce that. They said the attack wounded 10 soldiers and the attackers made away with a military armored vehicle. The military sent reinforcements and helicopters hovered overhead as the battle raged. Major General Ali Mohsen, the commander in the region, later said the troops managed to ward off the attack and reclaim the armored vehicle. However, he said only 2 soldiers were killed. It was not immediately possible to reconcile the different death tolls. Yemen's Al-Qaeda branch is considered to be the world's most dangerous by the U.S., which launches drone strikes in Yemen targeting suspected militants. Now let's keep in mind that Al-Qaeda, Al-Qaeda, was created by the United States of America. Let's move on here to RT.com. Secret amendment in Congress keeps CIA in charge of deadly drone strikes. President Obama said last May that control of the United States weaponized drone program would shift away from the Central Intelligence Agency and into the hands of the Pentagon, but a new report suggests Congress could keep that from happening. According to a front-page article on Thursday's edition of the Washington Post, members of the U.S. House and Senate Appropriations Committees have in total secrecy been spearheading efforts to ensure that a classified provision pertaining to America's drone war is included in the latest government spending bill. Should those lawmakers be successful in their attempt, President Obama's state intentions with regards to America's controversial drone program could effectively be squashed, and control over an arsenal of robotic killing machines would stay within the CIA's jurisdictions. Wow. Let's move on here to BBC.com. UN panel confronts Vatican on child sex abuse by clergy. The Vatican has been confronted publicly for the first time over the sexual abuse of children by clergy at the UN hearing in Geneva. Officials faced a barrage of hard questions covering why they would not release data and what they were doing to prevent future abuse. They insisted the church had learned from the crisis and had taken action to prevent future abuse. Victims' advocates complained there are still too little transparency. Yeah, leave it up to the United Nations, the leading pedophilia ring, to confront the Vatican on child sexual abuse, like they're going to do anything about child molestation. Let's move on back here to RT.com. Giant 3D printer could build homes in under a day. Wow, scientists in California say new technology will soon allow massive 3D printers to build entire multi-level houses in under a day. University of Southern California professor Bekrov Koshinovas has for years been working on a building printing technology called contour crafting and has earned accolades from the likes of the National Inventors Hall of Fame and even NASA for his efforts. Soon, he says, he'll be able to use that system to create entire structures out of concrete using what is essentially a gigantic 3D printer. Now, NASA's even using this type of technology to hopefully in the future use this type of massive 3D printing to build lunar bases. So that's pretty interesting. Let's move on here to BusinessInsider.com. Google is working on smart contact lenses that can monitor your body's health. The latest fantastical project to come out of the Google X Lab is a smart contact lens, the company said in a blog post on Thursday. Word leaked last week that Google was talking to the FDA about a new project involving biosensors. The lens is being developed specifically to help track blood glucose levels for diabetics as an alternative to painful pricking of the finger that diabetics must endure today. And they want you to believe that's the only reason why they're creating this. And yes, Google is talking to the FDA about these lenses. The lens has chips and sensors so small they look like bits of glitter and an antenna thinner than a human hair. Google is hoping to add tiny LED lights to it that could flash if glucose levels aren't the way they should be. Should this lens ever make it to market, we can imagine a time when they could include apps that do all sorts of things. They basically let you put a computer sensor directly into your eye. Can you say transhumanism? Let's move on here to Infowars.com, an article written by Adon Salazar. Police, reserve officer beat 4-year-old, put him in critical condition. An Oregon reserve officer and former sheriff's deputy is behind bars after allegedly beating his girlfriend's 4-year-old son nearly to death. On New Year's Eve, the boy had been medevaced to a nearby hospital after sustaining a severe brain injury, internal tearing of his bowel and intestine, and 7 fractured ribs. 34-year-old Michael Shane Abo and had worked at the sheriff's deputy for Yamhill County Sheriff's Department from 2008 to November 2012, was arraigned Monday following a grand jury indictment. Abo told police the boy had fallen down a flight of stairs. Let's move on to the last article of the day at JesusIsSavior.com. Walt Disney's Communist Agenda, or Walt Disney is Destroying America, are corrupting families. Wow, there is a communist agenda at work to destroy our nation. We are witnessing moral decay all around us. The Walt Disney Company is leading the way in smut and filth, attacking our teens with evil. Keep reading, you won't believe what you're about to discover. This is so tragic. Satan is using numerous vehicles by which to ruin our society. From feminism to divorce to homosexuality to Disney's sexual perversion, these are all communist agendas to subvert and destroy families. The Walt Disney Company promotes the suit life, but its sinful life of rebellion against God. Much of Disney's recent music features garbage similar to the gangsta-style rap music that originated in America's ghettos. Rap music, also known as house music, is synonymous with every crime imaginable. It is repulsive. Disney's girls feature imprudent-looking faces, bad attitudes, a lack of respect for authority, lewdness, and are feminists in training. Parents are often made to look naive, ignoring boring and obsolete. There is a reason why Walt Disney is doing this. Evil. I read an interesting book by William Guy Carr titled Pawns in the Game, written in 1958. Here's a quote from page 126 that should concern parents out there. Quote, Lenin had said, the best revolutionary is a youth devoid of morals. His word being law in communist organizations, all members work secretly to make young people of both sexes antisocial and immoral. Children up to teenage are taught to rebel against the discipline of the home. Parents are represented to their children as old-fashioned. Parental authority is scoffed at. The subverters argue that parents have lied to their children since they were old enough to listen, regarding Santa Claus and where babies come from. The subversives claim parents that are the victims of reactionary teachings and capitalistic exploitation. The child is encouraged to educate the parents in regard to modern and progressive ideas. They are warned that, for their own good, they must refuse to be dominated or disciplined by their parents. The purpose of this subversive campaign is to destroy the sanctity and unity of the home, which is the foundation on which our civilization is founded. Again, that is a quote from William Guy Carr in Pawns in the Game. It's all the articles I got for you guys today. I don't want to leave you without the New World Order quote of the day. Quote, a world government can intervene militarily in the internal affairs of any nation when it disapproves of their activities. That is Kofi Annan, the United Nations Secretary General. Now, I don't want to leave you without the proverb of the day. This is Proverbs 15:24, King James only. The way of life is above to the wise, that he may depart from hell beneath. That's all the articles and news and quotes I got for you guys today. I'll leave you guys off with the song I brought you in on. This is by War of Ages, called Silenced Insecurities.